Far from the eyes of most planets, there was an academy that housed students from different worlds, each carrying a unique story about their planet and their life. The academy was full of students who came from various planets, their worlds differing in every way except for one thing. Each of them carried a single dream: to learn and discover. In this academy, there was a teacher named Master Garros, a wise educator with an open mind. He was on a challenging teaching mission, tasked with leading a group of students who were diverse in every way. These students came from multiple worlds, each bringing a different culture and way of life. This cultural diversity and the differences among the students presented one of the biggest challenges for Garros. The academy was home to many strange beings, from flying birds with golden wings to creatures living under the sea, each having lifestyles unknown to humans. Garros knew that interaction between these students would take time, as the beings from different worlds needed to understand one another before they could coexist in a learning environment. However, things were not always smooth. While the students were learning how to interact with each other, some issues began to surface. One major issue involved a new student who had recently joined the academy, named Elian. Elian came from Earth, a planet that others in the academy regarded with mystery and skepticism. Earth was often called the planet of death due to the harsh conditions its inhabitants faced on the surface, and students from other worlds believed life there was nearly impossible. The problems began when Garros noticed that Elian was struggling with loneliness and isolation at the academy. Despite his repeated attempts to integrate with his peers, students from other worlds couldn't understand him. They saw him as completely different, and Earth's culture was something they couldn't fathom. Elian spent most of his free time alone, isolated in a quiet corner of the academy. Garros did not want any student to feel lonely, especially in a multicultural educational environment. He decided to help Elian interact with his peers through a special educational task. He assigned each student a task related to their world, where they would prepare a report describing their planet, focusing on the challenges of life there and the secrets of their worlds. The next day, Garros announced the new assignment. He told them, "In 3 weeks, I will ask each of you to present a report about your planet, and you should focus on the challenges you face in your daily life. These challenges could be natural, such as environmental disasters or predators, or even cultural and social issues. The goal is for us to get to know each other better." This announcement sparked great interest among the students, but Elian felt anxious. He knew that presenting a report about Earth would be extremely difficult. He felt that most of his peers knew nothing about Earth, except that it was considered a dangerous planet. Yet, he decided to give it his best effort and face the challenge. Days passed quickly, and the students began preparing their reports. Some explained about the monsters living on their planets, like creatures with massive wings that could fly, while others spoke about the volcanic earthquakes that destroyed their settlements. As for Elian, he decided to focus on some of Earth's most dangerous animals, such as bears, owls, and other predators. He also decided to talk about Earth's harsh environments, such as deserts and mountains, where life is difficult to sustain. But when it was time to present the reports, Elian's presentation was the biggest surprise. He delivered his report in a simple yet moving manner. The picture he painted of Earth's environment was filled with great challenges, whether related to predators like bears or extreme weather conditions, such as heavy rains in certain regions. But the most surprising part of Elian's presentation was his focus on a phenomenon that many had never considered: humans themselves. In his report, Elian said, "Humans are the most dangerous creatures on Earth. We humans are destroying the environment we live in. We pollute the air and water, and we destroy forests. But despite that, we have the ability to change and innovate. If we can cooperate, we can overcome anything." This report sparked mixed reactions among the students. Some were deeply moved by Elian's words, seeing Earth not just as a planet filled with dangers, but as one where humans were learning how to live better. Others doubted whether humans could truly change. As for Garros, he felt immense pride in what Elian had presented. The human students' words had reached everyone's hearts, and this led to a real change in how the students interacted with one another. The peers who had once been wary of Elian began to take his reports seriously, reflecting on their own planets. The next day, the Academy underwent a significant transformation. Students from other planets began interacting with Elian more, and they started discussing Earth's planet openly. Everyone came to understand that while each planet faced its own unique challenges, they all shared the common goal of survival and coexistence. But most importantly, Elian began to feel for the first time that he was part of the group. He no longer felt isolated. He had a place among his peers, who now looked at him with newfound understanding and respect. As weeks passed, the Academy witnessed a remarkable development in the students' way of life. Garros, the wise teacher, was extremely happy with the progress his students had made. The cultural diversity and the challenges they had faced had contributed to strengthening the students' cooperative spirit. The Academy had transformed into a more harmonious environment, and everyone realized that cultural differences were not obstacles, but opportunities to broaden their knowledge and understanding. With these changes, new challenges began to emerge. It had been a long time since anything unexpected had occurred in the Academy, but one day, while everyone was absorbed in their studies, a surprising news report came in. A neighboring planet was facing a severe environmental crisis that could bring an end to its inhabitants' lives. This planet, named Zyros, was rich in dense forests and wide lakes, but it was suffering from a strange phenomenon that threatened to destroy its ecosystem. The inhabitants of Zyros relied heavily on the forests and deep rivers for sustenance, but this phenomenon was rapidly polluting the groundwater, prompting their leader to seek help from the Academy. A delegation of environmental scientists arrived at the Academy to request advice. When the delegation arrived, the students observed the situation carefully. They had different motivations to help. Some wanted to showcase their problem-solving skills, while others were genuinely concerned about the fate of Zyros. However, everyone knew that solving this problem wouldn't be easy. After listening to the scientists from Zyros, Garros decided to assign his students a new task. He said, "Dear students, we've reached a critical point. It's not just environmental science that can solve this problem, but also the ability to collaborate across our different worlds. We will hold workshops to develop sustainable solutions to help planet Zyros. But keep in mind that this problem isn't just about science, it's also about culture. How can we learn from each world to solve this crisis?" The students listened attentively. This was a new challenge, as they needed to work together and apply what they had learned at the Academy. However, there was another problem. Not all students were familiar with how to handle such major crises. The Academy had focused on teaching them scientific fundamentals and critical thinking, but it had not equipped them with the tools to deal with issues of this magnitude. But Garros had a plan. He decided to ask each student to work in a team with students from other worlds. The goal was to promote collaboration between diverse cultures. In this way, each student would be required to interact with others from different backgrounds, leading to diverse solutions and a variety of perspectives. The first task was to study the environmental data gathered by the Zyros scientists, then present ideas and solutions to the problem. Garros was confident that this experience would provide students with an opportunity to develop new skills in teamwork and problem-solving. The students began working together. The team that included Elian, the student from Earth, was the most interesting. Elian decided to focus on finding solutions that used modern environmental technology, such as eco-friendly purification techniques using plants and sustainable purification devices. However, what concerned him was how to integrate these technologies with the way the inhabitants of Zyros lived. He knew that Zyros primarily relied on natural ecosystems, and any external intervention could have unexpected side effects. Meanwhile, another team, consisting of students from the planet Tyron, focused on solutions based on traditional agricultural methods. Tyron was a planet rich in agricultural traditions, and its inhabitants relied directly on sustainable environmental practices. These students believed that simple and effective solutions based on sustainable farming would help overcome the problem. As the days passed, ideas began to take shape. Each team presented innovative and realistic solutions, and Garros noticed the growing cooperative spirit among them. Through this process, the students began to learn more about the different cultures and ways of life their peers had. The relationship between Elian and his classmates in the academy grew stronger, and the students who had initially avoided him began to appreciate and respect him. One day, while the team was working on finding technical solutions to improve the water quality on Zeros, a student from the planet Canova presented an unusual suggestion. He said, "Why don't we take advantage of solar energy? We can install solar stations to desalinate the water and use the sun as a natural source of energy." This idea was simple yet effective. Everyone agreed that solar energy should be included in the solutions. As time went on, everyone began to feel that they were on the same mission, saving Zeros, knowing that they had to work together. This experience was an opportunity to apply what they had learned at the academy, but more importantly, it was an opportunity to understand each other more deeply. Everyone began thinking more broadly about how to achieve sustainability on their planets and how they could collaborate better in the future. With continued hard work, the academy became a center of innovation and collaboration between worlds. And so, the academy evolved, teaching students that cooperation across cultures and worlds was the key to survival and progress. The students learned not just from textbooks, but from one another, appreciating their differences and learning to use them as strengths to face the greatest challenges of all. The journey had only just begun, but it promised great potential for the future of all planets.